If you've ever thought about buying websites and domains but felt a little bit overwhelmed, don't worry, you're not alone. It can seem complicated, but today I'm going to break down the exact process in a simple step-by-step way. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to start and avoid some of the common mistakes I made when I first began. Over the years, I've bought and sold hundreds of domains, and I've really figured out a process that is really easy and beginner-friendly. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people make mistakes and they regret doing this years and years later because it can be very complicated to change these things after you get started. So you're gonna wanna stick around because I'll be sharing some of the biggest pitfalls I encountered and some of the platforms you'll definitely want to avoid. Also guys, I'm gonna be offering some free resources when you least expect it, so you wanna make sure you watch the entire video. Buying a domain name and hosting and all this stuff can feel pretty complicated, but I wanna give you a brief overview about how it all works and how it's all connected. It essentially boils down to building your own online presence, which can give you more control over your brand, your business, and help you reach a much larger audience. And in some cases, help you generate passive income. Whether you're interested in starting an online business, a blog, a niche content site, owning a domain, and a website gives you the chance to build something profitable from the ground up. Think of your domain as your online address or your online portfolio. It's where people will be able to find you. But beyond that, your domain can help you establish credibility and make your site look more professional. However, there's a few things to consider when choosing a domain name. So typically you want to keep your domain names fairly short. Whenever you're coming up with a name, there's a lot of really good tools. When you're going to choose this, you want to keep it as short and simple as possible. And depending on what is the use of your domain name, a person who's buying a domain name for their first and last name is going to be a lot different than buying it for their business. And a lot of times you're not going to be able to find the exact domain name that you want, so it can get a little complicated. If you're interested in ranking for search engine optimization or potentially trying to get more traffic to your website, you're probably going to want to consider keywords in the domain name. So for example, if you're a lawyer in Tampa Bay, Florida, you might want to consider buying a domain Tampa Bay Law, because people are going to be searching for Tampa Bay Lawyer. Or better yet, if you're a certain type of lawyer, you could make the domain name Tampa Bay, accident lawyer. Something like that is going to come up within the search results a lot faster than if you just put in your name. So you want to consider the use case of the domain name and how you're going to develop it over time. You want to find something that's search relevant, but also has longevity to allow you to expand and continue growing your business over time. For example, if you're building a website about, let's say, bathrooms, maybe you want to consider expanding in the future to kitchens or gardens or something. So if you make your domain name just about bathrooms, it might be kind of hard to expand and grow the business in the future. Also, you typically want to avoid any numbers or hyphens in your domain name. These can make it harder for people to remember and to search. Overall, .com is going to be the #1 best domain name out there, but a lot of times it's harder to find those, so you're gonna probably need to find some type of variation or add things like the in front of the name, or add in some type of filler words in between the two main keywords that you want. Now you're gonna wanna stick around because there's a lot of places to buy domain names, and you wanna make sure you don't buy them on the wrong platform. So let me give you just one quick, brief overview of how the whole domain name thing works. Typically, the first step is buying a domain name. The second step is buying a hosting company where it's essentially allowing you to put that domain online. Usually those are going to be two separate companies. And then the third step is using a platform like WordPress to actually build the website and make changes to it. So it's a very easy three-step process, but there's a lot of nuances in between each one of those. This video, we're going to focus more on the domain side, but I'll also give you some advice on how to actually do the whole process. Buying a domain name on the wrong registrar can be a huge nightmare, and it can cause you so much headache in the future. Typically, the biggest issue I see with this is they loop you in with a very cheap price. On year one for that domain name, it might cost $1 or $10, but I've had some domains go up 10 times of that. So year one, it's $10, year two, it's $100, year three, it's $200. So they keep elevating the prices of these domains because they know that you're pretty much stuck with them. You don't want to go through that annoying process of migrating the domain name over to another registrar. What I suggest is to make sure you pick the right registrar from the beginning. And the best and biggest out there is a place called GoDaddy, which I suggest avoiding for this same reason. They're very well known for doing this, getting you in with a very cheap price or a discount off the first year, and then on year 2 and 3, really ramping up the prices. What I suggest instead is using a company called Namecheap. Namecheap is one of the better domain suppliers out there, but again, they're far from perfect. They're just one of the most reputable for not increasing the prices to be crazy every single year. So once you've gone ahead, all you have to do is go on Namecheap, search your domain that you want. Let's say you're looking for tampabaylawyer.com. That's probably going to be a varying price point, and you'll see some prices that are all over the place. You might see some 4 or 5 letter domain names that are, $10, $20, or even $100,000. And typically the shorter the domain name, the more expensive it's going to be. And a 4-letter domain name that's an actual word, those domain names can go for millions of dollars. So you really need to understand the valuation process on how it works. What I suggest for people is, again, the domain name is important, but if you haven't really figured out what your business is going to be yet, don't spend more money on a domain name than you've already earned. So if your business has made $0, you're probably in that territory of under $100 domain name and hosting. Wait until your business is profitable, you're generating some income, and then in the future, you might be able to justify, hey, I can spend 1 to 3% on a new domain name, migrate everything over, and have that domain name that you always wanted. But again, it's better to start off lean and then in the future transition to something that's a little bit more expensive. Get that proof of concept as fast as possible and for as cheap as possible. And guys, if you learned something new there, you're gonna love this next part. I've partnered up with Amazon's Audible to give you a free copy of my #1 best-selling book, Global Career: How to Work Anywhere and Travel Forever. Global Career has been featured in prestigious publications like Forbes, CNBC, Entrepreneur Magazine, and even Lonely Planet. And with over 500 positive reviews, this book has helped hundreds of thousands earn from anywhere. To get your free copy and start a 30-day free trial of Audible, all you have to do is visit globalcareerbook.com/audio today, or just scan the QR code on the screen here. Once you have your domain name selected and bought, I would suggest just buying 1 or 2 of the .coms that are in that business and in the range. Don't go crazy and buy hundreds of these. It's just not worth it. The next step is the crucial step, and this is choosing your hosting platform. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of hosting platforms that get you in on a really low monthly plan for $3 or $4 a month. And then after that, after your first year, they renew you for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times more. Where I've seen this personally happen is on hosting platforms like Bluehost, one of the most popular platforms out there, and I suggest avoiding them. The platform that I personally use and recommend is a platform called SiteGround. They are a little bit guilty of doing this, but it's not to the extent of a place like Bluehost. And so what I recommend with SiteGround is going ahead, picking the middle-sized plan, locking in a longer-term contract with them if you know your business is going to be around, and then sticking with that plan. Platforms like SiteGround offer really great live support. The thing I love about them is anytime I have a problem, I can log in, live chat with a really good customer support rep who has technical knowledge, and they've helped me fix issues in 2 to 3 minutes. Where on other platforms, it's taken me days or weeks to get anything resolved. The next thing you need to consider is, do I actually want to self-host, or do I want to get a domain name and hosting all in one? There's some of these all-in-one platforms like Squarespace or even like Shopify that is essentially a little bit of a hybrid of hosting and domain name ownership. But again, with Shopify, it's usually going to be for e-commerce businesses and dropshipping businesses, or if you're selling some type of actual product. Squarespace is going to be this all-in-one platform where it's a little bit limited. They're doing the hosting, the web design, and the domains all in one area. And if you really struggle with, technical stuff, this is probably a good option for you. But if you're a serious business owner wanting to build an online business, my suggestion is to buy your own domain through Namecheap, do the hosting through SiteGround, and then build on a platform like WordPress. About 90% or about 80% of the internet is built on WordPress, so it's one of the biggest platforms to build for, and it's completely open source and free. So with the hosting and the domain registrar, you can essentially build your website on a platform like WordPress for free. You can take advantage of some really great applications for no additional cost because it has thousands and thousands of free app developers on there. Again, some of those apps are going to have a premium version, but I'm always super surprised by how far you can get on WordPress with a free application. So guys, just to recap things in a really easy 3-step process. Step 1 is going to be buying your domain name and the .com domain on a place like Namecheap. Step 2 is going to be setting up SiteGround for your hosting. Again, they have plans for about $5 per month. And then third part is to actually go ahead and set that up on WordPress. It's really easy to do, and there's so many good resources on YouTube that walk you through the WordPress setup, the hosting setup. And again, if you like this video, I might even be able to make that, but leave a comment below and let me know. And guys, if you found this stuff useful, I'm gonna leave a link below where you can access my Buying Online Businesses Secrets. It's going to be a huge free ebook where you can find all the online secrets I've learned from buying and selling online businesses. You can get that book at globalcareerbook.com/buyer. And again, I'm gonna leave a video here that's hand selected just for you. And again, guys, don't forget to subscribe for new videos I'm putting out every single week.